All right, we back in here. Chelsea 1, Brighton 3, and another Bozo red card dooms Chelsea. That makes two straight matches where, in all honesty, it should have been 6 points and it ends up being zero. And through six matches now, we see the team secure 6 points from six matches. And it's entirely self inflicted, the poor performances. As much optimism as the club has had and I've had personally before the September international break, it's all been undone at this point. You know, we've come back, draw against Brentford, loss against Bayern Munich, loss against Manchester United, a struggle of a win against Lincoln City, who are multiple leagues down in the English pyramid, and now a loss against Brighton, with Benfica and Liverpool coming up before the October international break, which are no easy picnics, obviously. To start with, I'm in no way Maresca out. I think there's a little bit of rumblings and frustrations that comes with it, but when you see red cards in the way that they happen, it's not due to anything tactically. Obviously, you would hope that there were better options in terms of selection for the goalkeeper and the center half and that sort of thing, but I don't think that's on the manager. And, he's, in my opinion, coached two wins in the past two league games. The midweek game was terrible from both, mostly from the players, in all honesty. It should have been a walk in the park, but last week's match and against Manchester United and this week against Brighton should have been wins, and unfortunately 0 points acquired. Start with, I want to look at the starting 11. I mentioned that if Josh Anchampong wasn't fully fit in my match preview, that we could have saw one of Hato, Reece James, or Marc Cucurella fill in that role, and saw Hato in this case, which honestly, no complaints considering the situation the club is in terms of its injuries and availability of its players. In midfield, I think I said that I would have liked to see Caicedo and one of Enzo Fernandez or Andre Santos. But then I kind of retracted that when I said, and I put a caveat, only if Romeo Lavia is fit to the bench would I like to see all three start. And Romeo Lavia was fit to make the bench, so all three started. So no complaints there, and we'll talk about what that looked like tactically heading into the match. And then the front three, as expected and what I predicted, Estevao, Joao Pedro, and Pedro Neto. No complaints really in terms of the team selection and what that meant tactically. I mean, going into the match, as we began the first 20-25 minutes, it was very positive. Chelsea were on top of and looked to be on course for a victory. I mentioned how I thought that one of the midfielders would sit next to Caicedo and allow the other midfielder, as well as Marc Cucurella, to invert and find spaces in behind the opposition midfield and front line in order to be able to play through them. And I was kind of right. I said that expecting it to be a back three in possession. Really, it was a back two. Trevoh Chalobah and Joao Hato were the ones holding it down in the back. And it ended up being both Reece James and Marc Cucurella inverting and sitting next to Moises Caicedo, allowing both Andre Santos and Enzo Fernandez to find spaces in behind to play through them. And honestly, it was working really well. I didn't think there was much trouble in terms of playing through the lines and advancing the ball forward to get into dangerous areas to create chances. Moving on to that, making it 1-0, that Enzo Fernandez goal, we saw kind of a little throwback scenario from Reece James where he gets a ball played to him by Moises Caicedo and he gets to the byline. It was a great ball by Moises, great pass. and Reece James gets to the byline and looks to put in a cross. It gets deflected and a little bit lucky in the way that it bounces to Enzo Fernandez on the back stick, and he heads it home. And Enzo does a good job of adjusting to get on the end of the cross and head it home. And from there, going 1-0 up the way the team looked, I thought it was going to be smooth sailing. It didn't seem like Brighton had much in the going the other way in terms of a threat. Yankuba Mente did give Marco Correa a bit of problem in that first half with his pace, just because he's clearly much faster than Correa in that regard. But I thought he coped pretty well. And so, at 1-0 in the first half an hour, I'm thinking, okay, well, hopefully it's a nice 2-0, 3-0 win. Not the chaos 3-2 that I predicted, but ultimately the chaos came in the second half, and we'll get into that into a bit. But to end that first half, it just seemed like Chelsea were a little complacent, not really pushing for the second goal, just happy to maintain possession and not looking to really threaten Brighton in any way in terms of pushing for that second. It seemed like that for me watching it on the TV, but I'm not sure how anybody felt in the stadium or what the thought process from the players were, obviously. But it just seemed like Chelsea could have played with a little bit more urgency to try to secure that second before halftime, and it wasn't there. And so going into halftime 1-0, I'm thinking, okay, as long as Chelsea come out with some sort of urgency in the second half, hopefully they can secure that insurance goal and then move forward from there. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. What we saw happen in the second half was Andre Santos dilly-dallying on the ball and playing a hospital pass that was ultimately picked off by Diego Gomez, and Trevoh Chalobah puts a challenge in and fouls him, makes contact, and ultimately gets a red card. And from there, the momentum changes. Against Manchester United, it was so early in the match, first 5 minutes, that Rob Sanchez got his red card, that we never really got to see what the team was capable of away from home against that side. Although I think it would have been a win considering Manchester United's performance today in their own game. Chelsea, I thought, would have won and gained 3 points. And here in this match against Brighton, you're going down to 10 men. This is a team that, Chelsea aren't necessarily good enough to hold on that lead against. Unfortunately, especially defensively, sitting back, and they're always a team that's going to let in chances and allow opportunities for the other team to score. And so it was always going to happen. The substitution that Enzo Maresca made in response to the red card, Andre Santos off and Josh Achampong on. No real complaints in that regard. I mean, you do what you have to do. You have to put on another center half. It's weird because getting a lead, I honestly, I would have thought he would have brought off like Davao or Pedro Neto first and allowed that 3-man midfield to persist. Maybe the manager's thinking is that Andre Santos was really the cause of that red card, so it's best to bring him off so that he doesn't feel even more pressure moving forward in the game. But in any case, no real complaints, I guess, with that sub in response to the red card. From then on, you see that 1-1 goal scored by, I believe it was, who was it? Cuyper, is that how you pronounce it? In any case, it's a ball into the back stick, headed backwards, and De Cuyper gets on the end of it and heads it home. I mean, in the air, again, a little weak, following up from that Lincoln City game. And the 2-1 as well. Same thing. Josh Achampong doesn't do a really good job of marking Danny Welbeck, and he gets on the end of a header. With the way the momentum changed after the red card, I felt like a draw was always coming. I'm disappointed by a loss. To be honest, it happened in the 90th minute, and so it is what it is. I did make a mistake though. It was Danny Welbeck who got the first goal, and I think that's where Josh Edgerpong failed to mark Danny Welbeck, and he ends up scoring the equalizing goal. And then from there, it was De Cuyper who gets on that header. And then the third goal is where I really have a problem with, where you're down a goal, you have a goal kick, and you decide to play it short. Reece James isn't alert enough and gets caught off guard. He gets pressed. He plays it to Josh Achampong, who loose touch gets dispossessed, and Danny Welbeck is in, and it's a good finish. It is what it is. I have a bit of a problem with playing out with the back. I mean, you just might as well just boot it long at that point in the 90th whatever minute. Try to secure a draw. But yeah, it's unfortunate that a red card again dooms the team today. It shows a bit of immaturity, in all honesty. And it's what I said probably would keep Chelsea from really competing for the league. I mean, their lack of experience and lack of control at times was always going to be the main setback for this team, because squad depth wise, talent wise, I think they have everything to compete at the top of the league. Maybe not necessarily have the quality to win it, but falling away in the same way that happened last season, I didn't think would reflect the talent that the squad had. And so it's clear that obviously Chelsea are not going to be competing for the league in any which way or form. And hopefully that isn't the case for the Champions League. It's a different competition. You never know with the matchups and all of that. But in terms of the league, I think it's clear that the consistency just won't be there in the same way. One note on Malo Gusto, who came in for Estevao, and he kind of played that nominal right wing and then shifting to right wing back when defending after that red card. He had a few opportunities to break away and decided to maybe cut back or turn around and not push forward. And remember, he got a ball played into space beyond the halfway line, and instead of pushing towards the goal, he kind of just like does that Ronaldo chop and kind of turns back. And I'm just like, you're in a situation where you're down a man, you're in space. You may not back yourself with pace wise on the ball to try to get beyond the man, but you got to give it a go and try. And then additionally, defensively, on the back stick towards the end of the game, there was that little penalty incident where Cross is played in, and he kind of just raises his right leg and tries to clear it. And I think he hits maybe Minte, who was moved to the left. In that situation, he played left wing for the majority of the second half, and on another day, that is a penalty. For those of you who watched the Real Madrid Atletico Madrid match, Arda Güler gave away a penalty in basically that exact same situation. Arda Güler got to the ball as well first because his foot was high, and he knocks the opposition player on the head with his foot and is given. And that could have easily happened to Malo Gusto in this situation. So I didn't think he looked very good after coming on. But maybe that's just because he was coming on in a tough situation and the circumstances did not favor him. One thing I'm most disappointed about in this match specifically is that Trevoh was, again, having to be hooked off. It's no fault of his own, and really no fault of the manager in this match specifically, bringing him off in the second half. But it's now multiple games in a row where he's either, he came back from the international break ill and didn't feature in that Brentford match. The UCL, he comes off the bench. Understandably, he was ill, coming back to full fitness. And then Manchester United, he gets an opportunity to start, has to be hooked in the first 20 minutes or whatever it was. He might have been the first sub out, actually. Within 10 minutes, he gets subbed. And then in this match, again in the second half, where you're leading and you're positive, and he had some very bright moments on the right-hand side against Ardioglu. He megged him at one point. He kind of chipped him and had a breakaway as well. And he looked bright. And so, it's unfortunate that They're not getting opportunities to really gel throughout a full 90 minutes, him and his other mates attacking moving forward. And so to close, I mean, we have a tough schedule coming up in terms of watching this team. Benfica midweek and Liverpool before the October international break. But one key thing is that with Trevoh Chalobah getting a red card, he's available for the Champions League, but now he's unavailable due to suspension against Liverpool, and that leaves center back options very, very limited. I imagine he probably starts midweek against Benfica just because we need Badiashile to remain fit, probably, and start against Liverpool. Because Josh Achampong, I mean, he may be given an opportunity to start in that match. Who knows what the lineup configuration will be? If I had to make an early prediction, I think it'll be Achampong and Badiashile. And I don't think I don't think the manager will be as positive in playing with the back. I think he'll keep one of the fullbacks sitting in a back three to help protect them a little bit. And which he did not do today, which I don't think he would have needed to do. And so it's really unfortunate that this is the form that we see the team come back with after the September international break. I think the majority of these losses are self-inflicted, even the Bayern Munich loss away from home. All three of those goals were I mentioned this in that match review. All three of those goals that were given away in the Bayern Munich match were self-inflicted. We saw the penalty given away by Caicedo, the giveaway off a heavy touch by Malo Gusto that Harry Kane finished for the third goal. And so, even I mentioned Michael Olise in that match had a really nice bit of play from Harry Kane to cross it into the middle of the box, and it was a great save by Rob Sanchez. But if that type of goal would have been scored in that match, fair play. But it wasn't. It was giveaways in that match. Brentford, you're not marking the back stick after going 1-0 down to pull it back 2-1. Alejandro Garnacho loses track of his man on the back post, and that player puts it away. We get a draw. Manchester United, within 5 minutes, Rob Sanchez gets sent off, and that match is ruined. And in this match, 1-0 up, bad giveaway by Andre Santos, really. Trevoh Chalobah, unfortunately, I don't think it's as rash of a challenge as the Rob Sanchez one last week. I think it's more forgiving in this situation for him to get a red card. Although, again, I'll mention this as I did last week. We would have been better off seeing Diego Gomez score and make it 1-1 than be down a man and having to hold on, because this team hasn't shown that they have that ability defensively to hold on and secure and hunker down and secure a result in that way. That's not the type of team Chelsea are. They're always going to give away chances. So we'll see. Coming in, I'm hoping that Benfica finally results in the win that is so badly needed, because against Liverpool, I believe the match is at home, but it will still be very tough. They haven't looked that good in any of their games, really. They finally lost today, but you would expect a bounce back from the defending champions, and that will never be an easy game, Chelsea and Liverpool, especially with the attacking talent that Liverpool have. They have every capability to take advantage of Chelsea's weakness at center half, especially. So we'll see what happens in that match. I'll be back for the Benfica match later on in a few days. And if you've come across the video, I appreciate you watching, and thanks.